What is the money? What? I'm trying to find every new cleaner. I think more cleaners are insane. Whatever. I'm just saying. I clean homes and like it's like 3 out of 4 are just like something really wrong with them.
Of course.
So I was just thinking of doing like private tours, and basically the idea is that I would the first meeting or like the first hour, I don't know, depends on their circumstances, would just take them to the normal places that you expect to go to on tours, but the more I like them, the better stuff I show them. So I just basically, like, I don't know this person, I'm not going to take them anywhere nice.
I don't know you. Look, that's the brand new game.
People like them, like, oh, what sort of people are you into? And I'll try and take them somewhere where they'd like to go. If I don't like them, it's boring. And it would advertise itself through word of mouth, because people would learn. And that's better than trying to cling to what OCD. I have good customers now, I just don't have enough. Yeah, some people were like, I don't know. Often what happens is like, I'll have someone for a year, and then like every 2 weeks, and then they realize they can just keep it going, like they get rid of a new kind of what got too much, and they realize they don't need it anymore. So I'm like, it's sad in a way, because like you work yourself out being needed. Sometimes I think if I didn't work so hard, they would need me for longer. If I worked slower, they would probably pay me more, but I like, it's again, like, if I don't like them, I am slower. Again, it's like, if I think I do that, yeah, just how the emotions towards it, I see normally I would do that, but it's not working.
That's the problem with like hotels, is you're actually creating it for the other because the tools they use to collect the work you do, so they automate it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never really think about it.
Ser Leute.
Is the performance in there?
I think it's gonna be outside. It's gonna be
Aha, they outdoors and
Yeah, they're also go.
yeah, the people who are who want to try, it will be outside.
okay.
Oh, we meet outside.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't know. This is maybe that's changed.
Yeah, we want it. I can't remember if you speak English or I can remember you too, I just can't remember German or English.
We were at the same conversation in the park.
Yeah.
We're running around in the park.
Exactly, yeah. And you're doing such everything like you're doing outside or inside?
Well, it is going to happen inside, partly also outside. It was, we were talking about doing all of it outside,
Yeah.
but it's nice. Yeah. Are you warm?
I'm pretty warm, man.
Yeah, it's nice. We had blue fly. fine.
Yeah.
Yes, we are warm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So it's a few minutes past 8, but I still think we just give it a little more time
Okay, no problem.
to chill, and then we begin.
What is? Do you know what Arcado is? Look at the sign.
Arcada?
It's something 5 meters that way. What is it?
It's a club, bar, restaurant.
Why are they advertising somewhere else?
If it's your friend.
There's a lot of people coming here and ask, is this a
Oh,
code?
really? Oh, okay, I understand the joke now. It's like, what is that?
Yeah, there's. I read it once.
And that's where you got Bohemian.
Yeah.
That is dance was Saturday.
Yeah.
Böhmische stuff. No, nobody ever asks what that is.
Oh, that's just a joke. Okay.
Both are jokes, because Böhmische Dörfer is also nonsense in German.
Oh, it means nonsense.
Well, no,
Not
the
a
expression,
village.
genau,
Yeah.
genau.
I don't
Böhmische Dörfer. I mean, it's nonsense in two ways. First, it literally means nonsense, or something you don't understand.
Ah,
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, or there's this, you have this image of this facade painted village that's not real, you know? Like,
so it's not a real place.
no, so like a, that's just like in movies, but in the landscape to simulate a village.
Right.
Of Böhmische Dörfer. That's also something like a scenery, like a village in the scenery that's not a village, but just the facades of buildings. Or abandoned villages that are completely deserted, but just the outer houses are painted so they look new and everything else is rotting behind.
That's funny. Everything got close to the Bohemian store.
Yeah, and then, I mean, and there's actually a Böhmisches village here because Rixdorf is a Bohemian village. So it's a triple joke. Oh my god, there's so many layers to this. So there's a joke in, Böhmische Dörfer, like this nonsense this way, and then, but there's actually a real Bohemian village as well. And then WC means toilet, that's around the corner.
I figured.
Yes, someone means
I figured out the other two. I figured out the other two.
So thank you very much to everyone who's here. Do you have what you need in your glasses and stuff?
Yes.
Yes? Do you need to go to the toilet?
No.
No?
Thank you, teacher.
Are you feeling comfortable?
Yeah?
Are you feeling comfortable? I'm thinking about the pandemic and impending lockdown and things
I'm
like
fine
that.
with that.
Yeah?
I accept this.
Yeah? All right. Okay, good. My name, just to do a formal presentation, my name is Peter Tomila. I am born and raised in Sweden. Live in Berlin since 2 years. On Sunday, actually, it's 2 years since I moved here. And to now I will do a little talk. It's going to begin with a lot of talking, and then we take a little break from that. And then we go into another level of experience. you might say. And then when we come out on the other side of that, there is a sort of wrap up and possibility for questions and comments and all kinds of things. I hope you have questions. I also remember now, a friend of mine said once he likes discussions, but what he likes even more is conversations. So I invite you to conversation in the end if you are up for that. So I am doing something that I call it research. Research. You take the word research and you put a T inside of it and it becomes research. Or maybe you take the word art and you split the word research and put the beginning and the end of this word on the beginning and the end of the word art. Research. This is an attempt to define something. It's basically a working term. I wrote a kind of definition of this, which I will read here. Research is a term to describe my overall work, sometimes motivated by personal intuitions, sentiments, or drives, sometimes by experimental curiosity. It manifests as something touching art and/or research. The main questions touch upon a sense of awareness through which inspiration is accessible naturally and with richness. How to make this accessible to the use and understanding of anyone in order to nourish a culture of holistic well-being and fulfillment. Often discovered, often forgotten, for some a natural part of life, for others mere myth-making. I find personally that this is real. It's making available a certain strength of nature in a person. It brings clarity of movement, thought, and action, and it allows for transformation, growth, and manifestation of beauty in presence, which to me is best described by fully embodied poetic experience. So that's an attempt in a few lines to describe this word research and what it's about for me. And what it really means, basically, is that I try on a daily basis to approach life as ongoing aesthetical experience, like a transformational journey where you transform yourself through artistic means in the way that you meet your own everyday life. This is a way to approach life that has roots in an esoteric concept, which is called in some traditions the great work. The great work. The great work is about transforming yourself intentionally by gradually going through your imaginations, your whims, your inspirations, getting to know yourself better, and gradually manifesting what you deep down feel that you truly are, you might say. This is a very great work can be described in many ways. It's also a very old concept. The ancient Egyptians would have said rather that the great work is about cleansing your soul so that you have a good passage through the afterlife. But that's not exactly how I approach it. I approach this in a more artistic, poetic, and transformational sense. Now this is something that produces a lot of experiences that are only for me somehow. For me or for people with which I share my life. Also strangers that you interact with you meet them in the subway or whatever, and I think that this is something that everyone more or less can relate to. It depends on your mindset, you might say. But it also produces another level in my life of artistic production and artistic experience. And this is where I have, over the years, developed a kind of personal process about this, which has motivated both education and it's also motivating me to meet you here tonight. It sounds perhaps when I speak about this as if it is about me. And of course, on a personal level, it is about me. But what interests me in it is that it is about all of us, potentially. I see somehow that I am not alone in having a kind of. I used to call this a creative drive. And later I simply settled to call it a kind of being in everyone. Some things in life inspire us to explore this more. Some things in life inspire us to develop a higher level in ourselves. And I can see that this is something that is possible to contact and wake and train in yourself through methods of theater pedagogy, dance movement, meditation, and such things. So this is what my research basically is about. It's actually such a vast question for me that I have devised this object because it has it's like a key. It's like a key showing different ways to approach the same question. The question itself is very, very hard to grasp and to put into words. You can see it's like a dice, and on every side of this dice, it's a letter. Those letters are basically, for convenience sake, it's A, B, C, and so on. It goes on. I can show it also here too. I am having this object in my pocket currently, and I use it as a kind of meditational symbol. It's a practical way to try to think about something that I don't really fully have words for, but each side is a kind of angle for approaching this question. Above all, like the first angle here is that to even begin touching this question, you have to activate a certain state in yourself, where you approach life more as with a very curious and open mind, maybe almost as if you were in a dream, you might say. You have to activate that state of mind. I think I found here a quote actually from It's from 1969. This is the poet Allen Ginsberg when he was giving testimony at a trial in Chicago, and he said the following. Most of our consciousness, since we are continually looking at images on television and listening to words, reading newspapers, talking in courts such as this, most of our consciousness is filled with language, with a kind of babble behind the ear, a continuous yakety-yak that actually prevents us from breathing deeply in our bodies and sensing more subtly and sweetly the feelings that we actually do have as persons to each other, rather than as talking machines. I think it's very nice to see this viewpoint. It's in 1969. Of course, it's much older than that. I think he puts it very much into words, and I think in these days now with the iPhones and tablets and so on everywhere, that it's even more important. I think he frames there somehow the angle that is about. Yeah, you have to sort of listen in. You have to open up to a more poetic state of mind in yourself. But this continues, of course. There are several different angles, and this research has taken me to different countries. It has brought me through different experiments and productions. I'm going to use some fragments of that tonight. But yeah, just to say, this is sort of a symbol of the complexity of this question that I am battling with. Again, I said here in the beginning there would be a lot of words. There are some interesting terms that I have come across that is useful here. One term is the term enaction. Enaction simply is about that is what we do when we are small children, like toddlers. We discover the world by experimenting with it. We are touching and playing, and I do this and I see what happens, and gradually as well kind of understanding about everything without really knowing so much about the world beforehand, which means that it is my imagination that is sort of guiding myself in this. I find that this perspective of the world as being simply a stage is very useful in this case. So yeah. So thinking of the world as a stage makes sense when you think about that the theater in itself is basically a matter of signs. Like we are communicating through signs all the time, of course, in life, but it becomes very clear when we are looking at a theater play or a performance. We are then looking at what's happening on the stage, and everything that happens gets immediately interpreted. An actor steps up on stage, and the actor has forgotten to remove his hat backstage before he steps in. And immediately when we see this hat, we're going to interpret something about the character. And in a similar way, we are also communicating in everyday life. of course. You color your hair, and it's going to send another sign than if you don't color your hair, and so on. I find that this is useful as a way to simply explore yourself and your imagination, and it's possible to do this in a kind of systematized way. And key to this in the end, I think, is about intuition and letting your own subconscious, in a sense, guide you. Like it's simply not possible to find your way in this in an authentic way by using your mind too much, or your intellectual mind. You have to listen to your body, and this of course means that you need to be very open to developing what would be called a holistic approach to your everyday life. Yes. Yes, I think here we can take a little breather. Thank you for listening to the words so far. Would you like to order something in the bar or something like that? Everybody's fine?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Could I have a Glühwein?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Do you hear me?
Yeah. And I'm not hearing so well, but I hear everything you say.
You do? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good.
Excellent.
And it's very nice to have someone that is alive. You're not only reading a Facebook page, and it's so long to hear someone talking.
Wow. Thank you very much. Yeah, I do my best. I think these questions are not really meant to approach in words. Actually, it's much easier to touch them with action somehow.
Yeah.
And also talking about them. I mean, this is something that is also how do you say it's being studied in different ways, which means that there are a lot of definitions that don't always. They are nice to touch in the reading flow, but they are not always nice to touch in a talking flow, I find. But yeah, words is what we have when we are not moving and touching. Gonna go slow?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Please.
I said, we have lost this. I mean, before people met in cafes and talked about politics and everything were so alive. I mean, it's something when you meet people and you see people in the eyes because we have all this warm or like fascistas. It's something that when I look at you, it's very important for my whole human being in the eye contact.
Exactly.
Everything.
Thank you for saying that. I think
I'm
you're
so
very
happy
right.
now when I go on job coaching and I have like a lesson 5 hours a day.
Mhm.
And it's so nice because I have a nice teacher. And when he's look at you and all this kind of, like it's so amazing when to be in a classroom with people and people look at each other.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's not for granted anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's not for granted anymore,
Yeah.
actually, which is so weird.
We have become so civilized that we are totally strangers to our natural instinct.
Mhm.
And
It's funny now when you do stock. I see that when you do stock now,
Mhm.
comes to me, you know, this my childhood reaction of not paying attention, becoming restless.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
It's strange.
Yeah, and I am hypersensitive. Like
Yeah.
I feel my audience
Yeah.
as if I was watching their reactions on the screen or something. Yeah, but that's human interaction. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Did you smoke a cigarette out
We
there?
were not able to smoke a cigarette, no,
Why not?
because I do not have any tobacco with me.
Oh shit!
Yes, thought I did.
I quit smoking actually. Otherwise, I would be happy to help you. Is your friend returning?
No, I think she's
No?
had a long day.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's okay. Welcome back. Would you like to hear some more words? Yes? All right, thank you. So this is not always easy for me to talk about. It's a bit like they say about the German language. You have to be drunk to actually speak good German, as while you're learning it somehow. No, that's a very common idea about learning German. At least in Scandinavia, you have to be drunk and then you're gonna learn. But what I'm trying to express here in a sort of half square way is that this sort of quest has shaped a big part of my life and made me do some very weird life decisions and priorities. It's not just some kind of thought in my head or something. It is something that is shaping my life, and I used to do it as a completely personal journey, a way to transform myself using methods of shamanism and improvised personal methods of different kinds. Also, ways of conduct that I later realized was actually homemade creative research techniques of different kinds. But it became more and more serious to me, and I decided to simply go for theater, and I educated myself in theater pedagogy, and I was diving very much in especially immersive performance art, since that is a very good way to approach your creative, how shall I say, if you consider that life is a stage, then the type of theater or performance that will be the closest to everyday life, I think, is immersive performance art. Since in immersive performance art, look, it's a fox.
Ah, wow.
Oh, shit.
wow, they look. Yes.
Oh la la.
Wow.
It's right
Wow.
there.
No.
Oh, beautiful.
But yes.
Wow.
Oh,
Our runway.
Wow.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
The foxes in Berlin are, they have a special, they have developed differently. They can eat trash.
Yeah, they eat vegan.
Yeah.
They eat vegan.
Yeah.
Do that.
They do, yeah. Yeah, I knew that. They are very beautiful. Yeah, anyway, immersive performance art. Yeah, are you all familiar with what immersive performance art is? Yes? Then you know that you can you can create basically the kind of world you would like to explore, to put it simply, which means that it's a very, very nice way to transform yourself through enaction, through fully embodied poetic experience, like a toddler experiencing what it's like to be in a certain environment. This can be very, very interesting if you come as audience, and it can be very, very interesting if you participate as performer. And of course, it can also be very interesting to work with this as the organizer of this, where you simply create this world and see what happens. So that has been very central to this research of mine. Another thing that has been very important is journeys to Bali. Are you familiar with Bali, the island in Indonesia?
I don't know much, but I know where it is.
Yeah?
Maybe I don't know much either.
No? There is really a lot to know and say about Bali, and I would not call myself an expert. I have only been there 4 times, but I have been very fortunate in experiencing very close hand what I often call Balinese sacred art practice. Bali is an island. It's not very big. It's very crowded, and they are mainly Hindus on this island. And it is a branch of Hinduism where it is very much about creating art. It is very much about being creative. It is very much about developing yourself by being creative, and all this creativity, all this art, all this dance, all this wood carving and architecture and music and poetry and all kinds of beautiful art that they are making is dedicated to the gods. So when they are done with the performance, there is not going to be any applause. They are just going to get on their motorbikes and go home. And the next day they are back in the rice fields or in the tobacco shop or the office or wherever they are working. But their way to practice religion is simply to practice art. And this has been very inspiring to me, because here again is a way to psychically and very psychically and psychically and very concretely approach your everyday life through aesthetic esoteric frame, which is both collective and personal at the same time. These might be seen as two these are two very important sources for me.
Ask something.
Yes.
If you check Wikipedia about physical theater, they say that the practices from physical theater derive also from Balinese theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand. Like, can you explain if you know?
Yeah, thank you. That's actually a very helpful question. It's an inspiring thread you put up there. I believe that what they're talking about is most probably the fact that in when was this? 1931. 1931, the colonial powers were going to show off to each other what they had in their different colonies. And so they brought objects and artifacts and human beings from different parts of the world, and they gathered them in Paris. So you can imagine, I don't know if Sweden, we didn't have any colonies anymore back then. We lost our colonies. Most countries were colonial powers, even though they don't want to talk about it. But in 1931, there were still some official colonial powers. One of them was Holland, and they had Indonesia, and they decided to bring a troupe of Balinese dancers and musicians. And these Balinese dancers and musicians, they came from Keliyatan, which is a village there. And they made a performance, and there was this French theater guy, his name was Antonin Artaud, and he got his mind blown by this experience, absolutely mind blown. And he wrote, he created a concept that he called the theater of cruelty, which has inspired modern dance and physical theater very, very much. But then, of course, since then, many artists have been traveling to Bali. It's simply a place to go if you want to learn more about this. I have with me here actually a book by this is a dictionary of theater anthropology, The Secret Art of the Performer by Eugenio Barba and Nicolas Savarese. That's the Odin Theater in. They have their headquarters in Denmark, in Jutland, but it's a very multicultural, international ensemble. But they were also very active in Bali, to name an example. I have some experience with methods of physical theater from the Odin Theater, but mainly the Balinese knowledge I have received from the Danish mask master Per Bra. Anyway, I think that is why. Yes. Yes. Yes, one thing actually about Bali that is worth mentioning now that we got there. There is a term. Taksu is the term, the word taksu. This is a Balinese term, and this has to do with creating with inspiration, basically. This is something that appears in many other cultures as well under other names. And in my own work in transforming myself and exploring these kinds of things, I have been exploring this concept of taksu very much. Later, also becoming more and more interested in Taoism, Chinese philosophy, which leads me to think in terms of something that I simply call the way of the feather. The way of the feather. Simply trust your own process and let your subconscious guide you, but at the same time reach for your own feather touch in that. you might say.
Feather because it's light.
Feather because it's light. Exactly. And I mention this now because I would like to step out of this tunnel of words and intellectual angles, and invite you to take part in a small meditational exercise. It's very simple. It doesn't demand anything really, but it touches upon this way of the feather as the light touch. In Swedish there is a word ypperst. 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 When something is like the ypperst, like utmost.
Yeah, yppersta, yeah, yppersta.
Ypperst. It's like the utmost, the utter somehow, the yppersta, the most delightful, the most that feeling if you're surfing on the water and for a moment you are sort of drifting above the water somehow as you are moving with the wave and you're about to land again and continue to surf, but for a moment you are drifting above the water. That the yppersta. Yes, this is a meditation about that. But first of all, because we are in this pandemic situation, I would like to just make sure I'm going to send something around here. So I'm offering you to wash your hands with this disinfectant. Yes. Exactly.
What is?
Is that like a communion now? Do we all have to use this one now? I don't want to touch it. I'm gonna use my own.
This is because I'm going to pass. Yeah. I'm going to pass this object around, and yes, I want you to touch it with the. No, it's not.
Okay. How do we know?
Because I have cleaned it. Yeah. So please have a look at this object.
Hold it.
Yes, please. What do you see?
See an elephant.
You see
An elephant.
an elephant. Yes. It's the Hindu god. It's the Hindu god Ganesha. The Hindu god Ganesha is an archetype, of course. And it is an archetype that is removing obstacles. You can imagine this elephant is strong, and it has a tusk, and it has strong legs, and it can walk across hindrances, and it can take its tusk, and it can remove hindrances. So yes, thank you. Now I would like you to close your eyes.
All three.
All three eyes. I would like you to imagine that you are in a forest. And you are walking with bare feet on the ground. And you can feel the ground touching your bare feet. And you can feel that your feet are touching the ground very lightly. You're very relaxed and you're walking very lightly through this forest. And every step you take is making you more and more relaxed. You can feel your breathing. I want you, as you are in this forest now, to also hear in this room where your bodies are also, to feel your breathing. Feel your breathing without changing it or doing anything about it. Just notice your breathing. And you're breathing naturally as you walk through this forest. And then it crosses your mind as you walk through this forest that this is actually just imagination. It's real enough, it's real, like a dream. But it's imagination because you're actually in Berlin. But you're also in this forest and you're breathing and you're moving lightly. And you realize that there is going to come a lockdown. And it's going to cause some change in your life, and it's going to cause some hindrances, some trouble for you to confront. And you can feel perhaps some tension about this. There's a lot of things that you have no idea how they're going to turn out now. For sure, you can see hindrances of different kinds piling on top of each other. But you're still feeling your breathing and you're still walking in this forest ever so lightly. And you are aware of that somewhere inside of you exists this archetype, this elephant god from some beautiful, distant, poetic religion. It's an elephant removing obstacles. And you allow yourself to connect with this archetype just a little. While you're breathing and you're moving in this forest, you let yourself in your imagination become this elephant. Walking lightly through the forest with tusk and huge elephant body, but still walking lightly, breathing, removing obstacles. There is no tension. There's a hindrance, but you reach out with your tusk and you ever so lightly, with your utmost yppersta touch, you just grip this hindrance and you lift it up and you remove it from the road and you step with ever so light steps. Welcome. Welcome. Further through the forest. And as you are now in this forest, and at the same time here in Berlin, and as you are now in this imagined reality of being this archetype elephant in you, and at the same time here. Here you have obstacles coming, and also here you are in imagination, connecting with the ability to touch them ever so lightly. I want you to shape out of that mixture the sensation in your mind. Just feel the mixture of that. And let it be in your breathing. And let it remain there for a while as we continue into the next stage of this little exercise. Just let it remain. I'm going to need 2 volunteers. And these 2 volunteers will receive a simple costume and a simple instruction. Can I have 2 volunteers? Yes? If you please rise to your feet, and I will show you and help you. Help me. And the other 2 participators in this meditation, and if you manage to log on to this, if you did, I'm impressed and grateful. If not, you're also very welcome here. You just remain here in this sensation that you have slightly developed and receive some input from, yes, you will feel it. Volunteers, please come.
Sorry, I'm still walking in the forest.
That's good. Hello. Good to see you again.
You said that's needed to come between 8 and 9.
It's almost 9, so I'm sorry.
Good.
We work from previous time to next.
Seriously, stop it. Great. What would you like me to do about it?
Yeah, you said you were having blue, right? Why not? So, 1, 2.
It was a very nice meditation. I meditated in my life. You guess? The chicken thing?
Can you look? How does it look like mine? Do you have to?
Is it close?
It's really good, actually. Do you want to put it
Burn your eye.
inside?
I'm just a little bit. It's working. So, that's it.
It's just wax. That's the candle. It's just wax.
Very beautiful. Enjoy. First one of the year. And the year 2020, 2021, 2022. That will be only one.
No fun life.
Ja, det känns faktiskt som
What?
Sabia, ska se på. Så. Mr. K.
The performance is starting. They're getting their answers. Do I look?
Check it out now. I'm pretty sure that
Do you happen to know his computer password?
Yes.
Because I think there's an audio file that's supposed to play.
It's there, right?
Yeah, the computer's over there.
And I was jet lagged. Like a whole day before I went to the airplane to go to this place, I couldn't sleep. I was so excited. I really looking so much forward to going on this journey. Couldn't sleep. And in the end, I decided I couldn't allow myself to sleep. Then I might miss my plane. Stay awake. I kept myself awake by watching YouTube clips, Facebooking, rearranging my luggage, and things like that. And finally, it was time to go to the airport. They took my bag and I remember that the last thing I did before I went was that I was ringing this bell. In my apartment, I was ringing this bell. Just one time. And I put it down. I took my stash that's prepared and I went to the airport. I traveled for maybe
Yeah.
20 hours or something like that. And during the journey, I didn't feel like sleeping because I was so excited. So I was just flying and tripping on the wakefulness. Watching continents through my window, watching the sunlight disappearing and coming back and disappearing. flirting with the stewardess that was from China and watching 4 movies. And I remember I was looking down over India and it was pitch black dark, but I could see like enormous urban areas down there. And I realized that time didn't really exist. I had no idea what time it was. And I had no sleep in my body, and I was so awake and so tired at the same time, so relaxed and so excited, and there was no time. And finally I arrived to this island. And room number 7, which was made of wood and bamboo and had a very high ceiling and windows, through which you could see the palm trees. And in the palm trees there were squirrels climbing up and down, eating the fruit from the smoky shrine. Monkeys and insects. And I was so exhausted. And I went to bed. And I went to sleep. And I still don't know for how long I had been awake. But I went to sleep. And then I had this experience, and that's what I want to tell you about. So, I want you to imagine that you're lying in room number 7 on this huge bed, all alone, on the other side of the planet. Nobody knows where you are. And nothing really matters, and you are free, and there is only now, and there is no way back. And you have a return ticket, and you're going to come home again. Probably. And I woke up, and it was still dark outside. And I woke up, and my first thought was, I have to get out there, I have to get out, and there's so much to do, there's so much to see. But this impulse, I couldn't get myself to move out of the bed. I was lying there with this impulse to go out of the room number 7 and explore. But I couldn't move. And I was lying in this bed in room number 7, and I tried to move. And what I want to tell you now, what I want to try to describe for you, it's hard to describe in words.
Sorry.
Just looking at the guy.
Kind of a weird situation, but.
Why?
But I have this feeling that
I watched the bed.
that I was,
I know, that's so over.
that my consciousness was like a small,
Since you live close, okay.
You live in the lowest place.
no, not consciousness, like, it was like my entire person was like a small person resting in the bosom of a much bigger presence, which was also myself, but at the same time alien somehow, familiar but distant or hidden or stronger. In fact, the closest association I had when it came to consciousness of this deeper part of myself was somehow that of an octopus. Like a huge octopus consciousness creature present, watching. From right under the ceiling, but at the same time everywhere, and at the same time inside of me, behind my ordinary person, conscious self experience. And of course, I was entirely awake. I was jet lagged as hell, tired, had to sleep. My body was like almost stunned, but I was still very aware of where I was in room number 7, house ceiling, made of bamboo, with windows outside, and echoes everywhere.
That little voice that always shrinks you. Consolidates you. Reminded it cannot escape the poetry. You
And
are not you.
I tried to sort of
You are not who you think you
and it wasn't
are.
as if something was preventing me. It was more as if
Your
my
consciousness,
impulse to move went through a filter.
your consciousness is an illusion, a way to get around. And, nature herself, unspeakable, the real you. You can move in all directions, rooted in gravity, instant to the impulse. Express yourself through poetry, ecology. She This is the edge. Every moment of your life. Instead of my use will.
Wills is a ship in an ocean of love. The ocean is indifferent to where you go or how you there. Surprise with your truth. Make it our brief moment in time to care for you.
You are the poetry.
Lonely. Stars shine at night in every place. Let us know.
So look up and follow the reflections of the sandstone in your hand as you make your own
meaning in every world.
is
true.
the
The journey
is the goal.
is the goal.
You can put it on again.
How you know this It's true
It is true.
that the journey is the goal.
Is the goal.
And
And the freedom
crowds want
your
But what I really learned, I think, from this experience was that there is,
the day.
for me,
Embrace the night.
a place
Light. Very
inside of me where I actually can measure
of everything and everyone.
what I want in the moment. What do I want?
You do not know you.
Instead of having a thought that immediately brings me to 3 blocks away from room number 7,
explore
the
yourself.
thought begins exactly where it is and moves
Explore
inch
your
by inch,
life.
so to speak.
Explore your
Getting out in the
life.
street from room number 7
Explore
demands that I move
yourself.
my arm, my
Explore
shoulder, my head, my knee.
eternal.
I shift my weight, I turn in bed, I feel the sheets broken against my skin. And all of these sensations were so real. All of this was so clear that I stayed in that inch by inch,
Thank you very much.
completely aware and in pleasure. Exquisite pleasure, relaxation, in a state of witnessing the action that I was pursuing at the same time as this action happened, at the same time as this action was initiating. Right there, at the initiating of each action, each milli-inch was my consciousness. Not as a deep meditation, but as a physical experience, a wakeful experience. Resting in the tentacles, presence inside of a transparent eggshellish room number 7-ish thing of a totally clear and at the same time dreaming state of being watched by a deeper, older, more primal, and at the same time highly
So once again, I would like you to wash your hands. And this time I am passing around this object. What do you see?
Cat, that's something.
Cat? Wait, what?
Some patterns.
Ah, okay. Cat. So in this meditation and this place in you which is reaching for the yppersta. I would like you now to have a look at this cat. And may this cat appear in your dreams and access whatever is needed in your deep mind for you to come through this lockdown in a way that keeps you in touch with the yppersta, the utmost light and bright in you. May the lockdown do not break down your beautiful inner being and creative drive. So to wrap up this this little this little talk, what we have seen here is myself first trying to express something in words, which I feel I not always manage to express in words. I accept this. Later we have been going through a meditation with two ways to approach something deep inside of us that I believe that we need. And now we are simply reaching a spot of analysis and question. The volunteers who stepped into the Ghostship have technically also been going through, in a very fragmented form, an immersive performance. Only so on a technical plane, but still concrete enough. Thank you very much for your beautiful contribution. And you who stayed here have been listening to me trying to explain something that, you heard yourself, a deeper place in the consciousness, which I speculate that we all sort of share. Perhaps we go there when we dream. I was sending around earlier tonight this rock here, representing different ways of approaching the same question. And this rock is actually existing also in a more... Hello. Good evening.
Is it full?
Welcome. What did you say?
Is it full?
No, there are seats over there. Come there.
Amazing. Hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Good.
Because it's a
What
quiet.
kind of seat? Hey, how are
Because
you?
everybody's listening to us talk.
Swedish?
Yeah.
No, you explain or I explain. What's it
How
gonna
you
be?
doing?
Good. Yeah, good. You're giving vibrations
Yes.
and
The flowers
yeah.
and everything.
Okay.
So just to resolve this, we're in the middle of an artist talk, so you feel totally, that's great, it's perfect. You can sit wherever you want. I don't know, how much longer do you think you will be?
Not much longer.
No?
You were most welcome here with your flowers and your
Oh,
stars.
it's so beautiful.
Welcome. So this rock that I was sending around also exists in this shape. Please have one.
Feels kind of like a rock.
Nice.
With the help of this, it's possible to approach this question about personal inner creative drive, the urge to express your inspirations through actions in everyday life and to transform yourself potentially through life and treating life as a learning process through art in a world that is also, like Shakespeare says, the stage. And everybody's playing a role, basically. You can look at this cube and you will see on each side some kind of phrase, except on one of the sides where it's my website.
True message.
I look at this cube too, asking myself these questions, and it keeps me alive, it keeps me inspired and vital, and sometimes it brings me to great joy and happiness. I think this is a good spot for asking questions if you do have questions. I'm going to give classes to small groups. Also, if possible, during the lockdown, it depends about the regulations, but I think it would be possible under certain circumstances. Not at all.
At least for November.
Not even outside if we are at a distance from each other.
Outside.
I will look deeply into that. Like the regulations are changing rapidly somehow.
Yeah.
But the intention is to start giving teaching in small groups within the regulations. And you are of course welcome to use the information here to reach out for that, or to pass it on to someone that you think might be interested in such stuff. Yes, if you have any questions or comments now, it's a good time to bring them up. And thank you for all this attention and time.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I know that you are a person, you have your old mobile, like you don't have this fancy mobile that you will be distracted. I guess that's conscious move from you, so you won't be distracted by the...
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Also because I'm very easily distracted. Like I have, of course, a computer, and I can get very distracted by that. I think if I had an iPhone, I would be one of the worst to stay away from.
And you are a person who like go a lot of outside to catch the energy from people, or
Yes, yes I do.
do you talk to people you don't know?
Yes I do,
Yeah.
for sure. Do you? Do you?
It depends on what kind of mood. No, not so. I'm observing.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm too shy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like to observe, and I try to, when I'm not so shy to catch people, like look people in the eyes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I discovered that I was much more introverted than I thought.
Mm.
And that many of the interactions were much more forced than I thought also. That was very useful discovery somehow. But that also means that when there is an interaction, then it's very authentic, then it's real, and then it's bringing stuff somehow. It's almost like being in a waking dream sometimes. Someone shows up and says something and it's meaningful to you. Yeah. Yeah.
Could you hear each other when you couldn't hear each other, right? When you had the headphones.
What could we
A
hear?
little bit.
Okay, that's good. Because I was not sure.
You were very beautiful.
I felt very restricted with the thing. I kept going, I was like, oh no, don't go there, oh. But other than that.
Yeah, you were very beautiful. Very
I liked not being able to see everything because it kind of like allowed me to go more into like the ghost mode. Because like, well, I can't really see anything anyway, so I'm not gonna pay attention to the surroundings.
You have to tell me. Seems like what's happened. Yeah, you came in the end. You also. That was nice. You both stepped in. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
With flowers.
With flowers. Yeah, you also came with some kind of.
Yeah. This one a good one.
Yeah. I think if there are no more questions, then maybe we put on some music and we spend some time together before. I know that Das Kapital is closing tomorrow already. Isn't that right?
Louis is doing the last shift before the lockdown. What do you say to this, Louis?
I said, I'm just like,
Last schmast.
don't miss the train, I would say,
Okay.
Well, I think everyone is told.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah, sorry.
My sympathy.